Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise of the daily headlines. We unpack the most crucial takeaways from a stack of fresh sources for you. Our mission: give you that shortcut to being truly well-informed, get you the essential insights without, the overload.
And today, our sources are really timely. We're focusing on news from just yesterday, June 28th, 2025. What's truly fascinating, I think, is how these seemingly separate events, geopolitical flashpoints, market shifts, even like consumer recalls, they don't exist in a vacuum. So our deep dive today is all about connecting those dots for you, trying to reveal the why behind the headlines and show how they sort of paint a bigger picture of these global shifts.
Okay, right. Let's unpack this then. We're starting with a major event still reverberating in the Middle East, specifically the aftermath of the recent Iran-Israel conflict. On Saturday, June 28th, Tehran held a pretty solemn funeral. This was for Iranian military commanders, nuclear scientists, and civilians who, well, tragically lost their lives in the recent aerial war.
And the scene itself, it sounds like it was a powerful statement. Large crowds, dressed in black, lining the streets, coffins adorned with photos, national flags driven into Azadi Square, people waving flags, throwing rose petals.
Yeah, and notably, ballistic missiles were even on display. I mean, that sends a pretty clear message, right?
Absolutely, a
Yeah.
very deliberate display.
Iranian state media retorted that at least 16 scientists and 10 senior commanders were among the 60 people mourned. And that count included 4 women and 4 children as well.
And some really high-ranking figures among those killed on June 13th, that first day of the war. Major General Mohammad Bagheri, the Armed Forces Chief, General Hossein Salami, Revolutionary Guards Commander, and General Amir Ali Hajizadeh, the Guards Aerospace Force Chief.
Right. Bagheri was buried on Saturday, and Salami and Hajizadeh are scheduled for Sunday. The funeral itself had high-level attendees, too. President Masoud Pezeshkian was there. Ali Shamkhani, the Supreme Leader's advisor, who was actually wounded in the conflict he attended, and even Khamenei's son, Mojtaba. It really underscores the gravity of it all.
And the official line from the foreign minister, Abbas Araki.
He posted on Telegram saying Iranians protected their honor and dignity and look to the future prouder, more dignified, and more resolute than ever.
A strong statement of resolve, then.
Definitely. So just to quickly recap that conflict timeline for everyone listening, Israel launched its air campaign June 13th, targeting Iranian nuclear facilities. Iran swiftly retaliated with missile barrages. Then the United States entered the war on June 22nd with its own strikes on Iranian nuclear sites, before a ceasefire finally took effect on Tuesday, June 24th.
And the human cost sounds significant on both sides.
It was. The Iranian Health Ministry reported 610 killed, 4,700 injured. Though interestingly, the activist news agency Tehran put the death toll much higher, 974, including 387 civilians.
A big discrepancy there.
Yeah. And for Israel, their health ministry reported 28 killed and 3,238 injured. And on that really critical nuclear dimension, Israel maintained its aim was preventing Tehran from getting nuclear weapons. Iran continues to deny having a weapons program. And the UN nuclear watchdog, for its part, has said it has no credible indication of an active, coordinated weapons program in Iran.
You know, what's truly fascinating here, I think, is this stark contrast in the narratives emerging from this conflict. You have a senior Israeli military official saying Israel delivered a major blow to Iran's nuclear project. But then Iran's Revolutionary Guards declare that Israel and the U.S. actually failed to achieve their stated objectives.
So completely different takes on the outcome.
Exactly. And this back and forth, I mean, even after a ceasefire, it reveals a really dangerous pattern, doesn't it? Both sides feel they can claim some kind of victory despite, significant losses. And that makes genuine de-escalation incredibly difficult. It sort of leaves the region perpetually on a knife edge. This rhetoric, this victory narrative, it serves internal audiences, sure, but it inevitably fuels external tensions.
And what's really significant is how these regional conflicts, they're just not isolated, are they? Their effects ripple outwards. Take Yemen, for instance. An Israeli army statement on Saturday, June 28th, reported a missile fired from Yemeni territory towards Israel. It was most likely successfully intercepted, according to them.
And the Houthis claimed responsibility.
Yes, Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthi forces, through their military spokesperson, Yahya Saree, quickly claimed it, stating the missile was aimed at Beersheba.
Right. And the broader implication here is just how swiftly these local conflicts can draw in external players, create proxy battles. The Houthis have been attacking Israel since, October 2023, start of the Gaza war. And they've also been heading shipping in the Red Sea, causing, significant disruptions to global trade.
True, though most launches have been intercepted or fallen short.
They have, but Israel has threatened a naval and air blockade if these attacks persist, so it really highlights um, the profound interconnectedness of these regional conflicts and how various actors are positioning themselves. It makes lasting peace elusive and just compounds instability far beyond a single border.
Okay, so moving away from the Middle East now. Another tragic humanitarian impact of ongoing conflict hit the news today. In Ukraine, a Russian drone strike on a residential high-rise in Odessa. This was Saturday, June 28th. Tragically killed 2 people, wounded at least 14, including 3 children, and one of them remains in critical condition.
Awful, just awful.
Yeah. Footage from the scene, it showed firefighters battling a blaze, rushing residents down a dark stairwell. It was the 21-story building. And this attack comes as Russia has noticeably stepped up its drone and missile strikes in recent weeks. It coincides with stalled diplomatic efforts to end this nearly 3.5-year-old war.
So no sign of de-escalation there either, unfortunately.
Doesn't seem like it. Okay, so with that volatile geopolitical backdrop, let's turn our attention to the global economy and maybe everyday life. Looking at the stock market, we saw some interesting dynamics on Friday, June 27th. Both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ Composite actually soared to new all-time highs.
Wow, really? Despite everything else going on.
Yeah, the S&P broke its previous peak by nearly 0.5%. NASDAQ a similar surge, apparently reflecting renewed enthusiasm for AI and maybe the prospect of looser monetary policy. In fact, big names like UBS Global Wealth Management, Citigroup, Barclays, they all lifted their year-end targets for the S&P 500, citing softening trade tensions and expectations of resilient quarterly earnings.
Okay, softening trade tensions. That sounds like good news for investors. But hang on, there is a significant development that immediately adds, let's say, complexity to that narrative, right?
Exactly. What happened there?
Well, on Friday, President Donald Trump announced he was suspending all trade talks with Canada.
Suspending. Why?
The reason given: Canada's Finance Department confirmed plans to collect a digital services tax, which Trump immediately called a blatant attack on our country.
Ah, okay. So much for softening tensions then.
Pretty much. I mean, the move quickly caused markets to spiral, apparently amid fears of a return to what some called the self-inflicted trade war. You know, policies like tariffs, trade barriers that often lead to retaliation and end up harming domestic industries too. Stocks actually paired their gains almost instantly after that announcement.
That's a fascinating push and pull, isn't it? Shows just how quickly economic outlooks can shift based on, well, political decisions. And speaking of global markets, let's look at oil prices. They edged up slightly on Friday, June 27th. But despite that little gain, they actually plummeted about 12% for the entire week, which is their biggest drop since March 2023.
12%. That's a big drop. So what drove that? Not the Middle East conflict, surprisingly.
Apparently not. Analysts noted no major supply disruption from the crisis. Instead, it seems to be OPEC plus aging. That includes allies like Russia. They're planning to hike production by 411,000 barrels per day in August, and that's following a similar increase already planned for July.
Okay. So it's more about supply and demand fundamentals. It just shows how those global dynamics, rather than maybe the immediate geopolitical crises, can sometimes be the dominant factor in energy markets, at least in the short term, driving prices down even when there's conflict ongoing.
Right. It's not always a direct cause and effect with geopolitics. And while we've been focused on these big global conflicts and economic tremors, it's crucial to remember that everyday life gets impacted too, sometimes on the consumer front. A significant vehicle recall made headlines today. Chrysler parent Stellantis is recalling over 250,000 vehicles in the U.S., specifically 250,651 certain 2022 to 2025 Pacifica and Voyager models.
250,000. Wow, what's the issue?
An improperly sealed side curtain airbag.
Oof, that sounds serious.
Yeah, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, stated that an airbag with insufficient pressure retention increases the risk of ejection and injury during a crash. Dealers are going to inspect and replace them free of charge, of course.
Sure, but it does raise an important question, doesn't it? In this world of really complex global supply chains, what does a recall like this tell us? About the ongoing challenges, maybe, in maintaining consistent manufacturing quality control, even for huge established brands. It's just a reminder of that intricate web involved in making even seemingly simple parts.
That's a really good point. The complexity is immense. Okay, finally, let's take a quick peek into some political turbulence in Southeast Asia. Hundreds of protesters gathered in Bangkok on Saturday, June 28th. They were demanding the resignation of Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra.
Resignation. What sparked the protests?
It seems to be rising anger over a border row with Cambodia, apparently following a leaked phone call between Shinawatra and the former Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen.
Ah, a leaked call. That rarely ends well politically.
No kidding. And this was reportedly the largest anti-government protest since her Houthi party came to power back in 2023.
Yeah.
So it significantly ramps up the pressure on the prime minister. She's already battling to revive a faltering economy, keep a fragile government coalition together, and all this ahead of a potential no-confidence vote next month. So a lot going on there.
Definitely sounds like a challenging situation for her government.
Okay, and that, I think, wraps up another deep dive for you. We've covered a huge range of stories today, haven't we? From the intense aftermath of international conflict, its far-reaching geopolitical ripples, to those volatile shifts in global economic indicators, right down to domestic political unrest and even product safety concerns impacting consumers. Our aim, as always, is to try and distill these diverse sources into clear, actionable insights for you.
Yeah, and today we've really seen a spectrum of global events. Think about it. The solemnity of that funeral in Tehran, the tragic impact of war still ongoing in Ukraine, then the volatile dance of global markets, that high-stakes political standoff brewing in Thailand. But these aren't just isolated incidents happening randomly around the world. Instead, maybe think of them as interconnected threads in a much larger tapestry, reflecting deeper underlying currents, political tension, economic vulnerability, maybe even technological disruption that are quietly shaping our collective future. So maybe the question to ponder is, how do these seemingly unconnected events, a trade dispute here, a protest there, even a technical recall, how might they actually be small signals of these much larger forces at play? Worth considering the ripple effects.
A great thought to end on. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the stories shaping our world. We'll be back soon with more essential insights.